Hi, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joybaking.com. Today we're going to make coconut macaroon brownies, and this is what they look like. The coconut macaroon topping is sweet and chewy, and underneath we have a brownie that's wonderfully dense and fudgy. So the first thing you will need to do is to preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 180 degrees Celsius. And then you're going to need an 8-inch square, that's 20 centimeter baking pan. And then I like to line it either with foil, like I've done here, or you could use parchment paper. And I like to make sure the foil or parchment paper kind of goes a couple inches, about 5 centimeters over the edge, so that we can kind of use that as a handle to lift up our brownies at the end. So the first thing we're going to do is our coconut macaroon topping. So you will need a saucepan of simmering water, and then in a heat-proof bowl, I like to use stainless steel, I have 1 large egg white. That's about 30 grams. And I'm just going to break that up. And then to that, I'm going to add 1/4 cup, which is 50 grams of granulated white sugar. And then just a pinch, like 1/8 teaspoon of salt. And whisk that in. Okay, so now we're just going to put that over our saucepan of simmering water. And now you want to stir this constantly because we do not want to cook our egg white. And what we're going to do is just cook it here until the sugar dissolves and it gets kind of thick. And it's hot to the touch when you touch it. So that's going to take, I'd say, depending on how hot your water is, that'd take about 2-3 minutes. Okay, so that's hot to the touch. I can see the sugar has dissolved, so take it off the heat. Nice stir. And then I'm going to add, of course we need coconut, I'm going to add 2 cups, which is about 120 grams of dried coconut. Now, you can use either the sweetened or the unsweetened. I'm actually using the sweetened today, and I like to use the flaked. I think it looks better, but you could, if all you could find is the shredded, then you could use that. And then I'm also going to add just 1/2 teaspoon, 2 grams of pure vanilla extract for flavoring. So just put that in, and we're just going to stir all that together. This isn't like, it's not a thick layer of the coconut topping, but I think it's just enough to offset the like strong flavor of our brownie. I think it's a wonderful combination. So, okay, that looks good. Just want to make sure all the coconut is moistened. So I'm just going to put that aside. And next, we are going to start our brownie mixture. So again, you will need a saucepan of simmering water, and you will need 4 ounces, which is 120 grams. We're using unsweetened chocolate here. That's going to give us a really nice chocolate flavor to our brownie. And unsweetened chocolate, there is no sugar in it. So you just chop that coarsely. And then to that, I'm going to add 1/2 cup, 113 grams of butter. I'm using unsalted here. I mean, you could use salted, whichever you have. And I've just cut that into smaller pieces because we are going to put this, and again, you want a heat-proof bowl. Like I said, I like stainless steel. So what we're going to do is just leave that over simmering water to melt. Take a few minutes. Hey, that looks good. Quick stir. Take it off the heat. So, if I feel my chocolate, it's warm, but it's not like really hot. So you want to make sure, like, get that off the heat right when it melts. If it's like really hot, you might want to let this sit a few minutes before you start adding your other ingredients. But mine is, like I said, just a little warm. So I'm gonna start. So I have a whisk. I'm going to add, like I said, we're using unsweetened chocolate. So, you know, this, if you tasted that, it would be quite bitter. So we are going to add 1 cup, which is 200 grams of granulated white sugar. And I'm just going to whisk that in along with 1 teaspoon, 4 grams of pure vanilla extract, and that's for flavoring. So there we go. Now you will notice this is fairly grainy right now. Do not panic. It will smooth out. And now we're going to add 2 large eggs, and have your eggs at room temperature. I'm going to add them one at a time and whisk them in. And as we whisk the 2 eggs, this mixture is going to start smoothing out, and it will get nice and shiny is what we're looking for. So I'm going to add the second one. Could you use a hand mixer for this? Yes, you could if you wanted to. So just keep whisking. It's going to get a little hard, but as you can see, it's starting to get nice and shiny and smooth. And you can kind of tell when you're there, not only the look, but it is going to get a little difficult to whisk. So there we have it. Oh, looks gorgeous. Smells good too in here. So there. Okay. And now the final thing is our flour. 3/4 of a cup, which is 95 grams of all-purpose flour. You may know that as plain flour. And then just 1/4 of a teaspoon, 1 gram of salt. If you used salted butter, I'm just going to use a whisk or a spatula for this. If you used salted butter, then just leave out that salt. So now that's our 2 components. We got our brownie batter, and then we have our coconut topping. You know, this one's a nice way to dress up an ordinary brownie, something a little different. If you're a brownie fan, like I am. Okay, doesn't that look gorgeous? So now, move that over. So, we have our pan. Whoop. Pour that in there. Okay, and then I'm just going to use an offset spatula. You just use the back of a spoon. Just smooth that out. Try to get it even, get it in the corners. Looks good. Okay. And then we have our coconut mixture. So we want to spread that on top. Now you could use your fingers. I'm not going to, it's kind of really sticky. But what we're going to do is just put little dollops all over the top. Cover the surface. It's the last little bit here. There we go. So now, everyone's oven is a little different. But normally it's about 25 minutes for this brownie. Of course, I always recommend checking your brownies about 5 minutes before that, because you never know, maybe your oven's running a little hot. So what are we looking for? A toothpick inserted into the brownies will come out with moist crumbs. You don't want the toothpick to be clean, because then that means your brownies are a little overbaked. And then the coconut will turn a lovely golden brown color and nice and crispy. And you will notice the edges of the brownies will just beginning to kind of shrink from the sides of the pan. So I'm going to say about 25 minutes. So our brownies are done. Doesn't that look gorgeous? The coconut is now kind of brown, it's crusty, and when I put a toothpick into the center of the brownies, there was still some moist crumbs on there. So what I'm going to do, put your pan on a wire rack. We're going to let these cool completely in the pan, and then when we come back, we will try one. To remove the brownies from the pan, like I said, just lift, move that out of the way, just lift up the edges, and it comes right out. And then just peel back your foil, so, and then you can cut them into whatever size you want. So I'm just going to cut myself a little one here. You can, if you want to get a nice clean cut, just have a piece of damp paper towel and then just wipe your knife between cuts. So, oh, doesn't that look nice? You want to make sure, whenever you're baking a brownie, you don't over bake it, because then it gets kind of dry. So you always want to make sure, when you put that toothpick in and take it out, there's still moist crumbs. Now, when these are first baked, that coconut is nice and crunchy. It's really good. It's nice and sweet. It's got a little bit of chew to it. And then the brownie, if you don't overbake it, it's moist, but it's quite, and the chocolate flavor is really intense. So therefore, I kind of like that combination where you put a sweet topping on a really strong flavored brownie, which we've done here. Now, you can store these at room temperature for a few days. Personally, I like to store them in the fridge, because then what happens is that brownie kind of gets nice and dense and really fudgy, which is my favorite way to have it. And then you could even freeze these. So try them. And until next time, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joybaking.com.